It's Monday, July 6th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. The battle to bring food directly to you just got a little more consolidated this morning with the announcement that Uber is officially buying rival delivery service Postmates for $2.6 billion. And robots may end up playing a big part in sanitizing our future workplaces and schools. We'll be joined by Connor McGinn to discuss their Akara robot lines and what they can do for you. We'll also have Jaron Schneider on to talk about the increasingly competitive market of wireless earbuds. With new noise-canceling options from Panasonic, we'll let you know how they stack up. And since it is Monday, we've got yet another edition of Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet, where Drew will showcase some interesting crowdfunding campaigns like a fancy selfie stick. All of that and more coming up on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Yes, indeed. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Greg Dibbler. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more, all broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. So thanks for joining us, joining the conversation, share the show, let other people know about it. Let's start it off, though, with the trending news of the day, and we have to go to this, and that is Uber finally making a move to buy a rival food delivery service, and that is Postmates, who they finally picked up. Now, this comes on the heels of weeks of speculation that Uber was looking to buy up another competitor, Grubhub being one they were going after for a while. Grubhub ended up being taken up by a European food delivery service called Just Eat Takeaway. And so they are going to be combining forces now to take on the North American market. But Uber picking up Postmates for $2.65 billion. A lot of speculation going on ahead of time about Postmates maybe going a different direction, maybe retooling their own service. But instead, they have ended up selling to Uber Eats. Now, this puts Uber probably in the second, continuing on with their second place spot for food delivery in the U.S. So number one is DoorDash. DoorDash has the biggest market share. Uber Eats now with Postmates, Postmates being previously number 4, now combining with Uber Eats, so expanding their service, still not enough to overtake DoorDash, but Grubhub is going to be, of course, expanding what they're going to be offering as this combination of them and Just Eat Takeaway continues on. And we see this naturally in this time of a pandemic. Food delivery is a huge business. Some of the speculation here, actually, some numbers that came out, was that Uber said gross booking revenues for its rides segment was down 80% in April from a year earlier, but food delivery was up 50% during that period, and I would expect that that's probably going to be increasing quite a bit as we see more competition. These services are trying to beef that up. A little bit of consolidation in the industry, but there it is, Uber picking up Postmates for $2.65 billion. They did say Postmates is going to continue to operate, as of now, standalone. They're going to start slowly increasing more Uber services into that. I would expect that at some point they'll combine into one service. But right now, Postmates will remain as it is, just with Uber being the owner of it. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on here with trending news today, let's go to Samsung. Now, last week we talked about some rumors about some new Samsung Galaxy Note Ultra phones. And these would be the new ones that we normally anticipate that would come out later on this year. Well, now we've got another rumor, I guess, to go off of, and it has to do with when the Samsung Unpacked event will take place. And there it is, August 5th. So that is coming from Ice Universe. They're a Twitter account that frequently they're pretty accurate, honestly, with a lot of the leaks that they have. So they're saying that this will be when the Galaxy Note 20 is going to be announced. And again, we saw some images that were accidentally leaked by Samsung, showcasing kind of that 3 camera array on the back. There's always a chance that could change or be inaccurate, but it's looking like that's probably what the design is going to be. So that's the Galaxy Note 20 and the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. We also had speculation on the prices for those being $999 and $1299. That goes pretty much along the lines of what we've seen with flagship phones. And then the other parts of the rumor here, and this is more stuff that's coming out today that's been speculated for a while, is that the Galaxy Fold 2, which is going to be called the Galaxy Z Fold 2, will also be unveiled. So it looks like Galaxy Z is going to be the name of the line of all the foldable phones. And we already have the Galaxy Fold out. Galaxy Fold 2 should be a little bit different. It may even be lower in price. But again, a lot of speculation going on. But it does seem to be that we're going to be getting some announcements from Samsung about this stuff going forward, even though these are rumors. Things change a little bit, but it's starting to get dialed in. So August 5th is the speculated date for Galaxy Unpacked. Continuing on with this, let's talk about one other piece of trending news. This has to do with WhatsApp and data requests in Hong Kong. Now, this could be kind of a sign of where we're going in a lot of other places, but for those of you who haven't followed it, of course, the Hong Kong protests that are going on, they've been going on for months. With that, there was a new law passed in China that required Hong Kong law enforcement and Hong Kong local authorities to supervise the internet. And we all know that China has their Great Firewall, which blocks out a lot of things online from their citizens, but Hong Kong was an exception to that. Now, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, everybody's getting requests from law enforcement for users' data. And WhatsApp said they are not going to do it today. They said they're going to be suspending that, pausing reviews pending further assessment of the impact of the national security law, including formal human rights due diligence and consultations with human rights experts. So this is WhatsApp making that statement today, again, about how they're going to handle some of that. And we know that law enforcement requests data on a number of different levels, but this is what they're doing there. So WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, all saying they're going to halt this, but Facebook and WhatsApp being the big ones announced today. Read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on with trending news, if you are an iPhone user, here's something that may have been happening that you didn't even realize was going on, and that is apps scanning your notepad. So these are apps that were looking at your clipboard, clipboard on iPhone. I'm an Android user. I'm used to saying notepad, but clipboard. And so these are apps that were scanning this and looking at your information that you had in there, something that you probably didn't even realize they were doing or want to get permission for. And this was discovered because of an iOS 14 beta that came out that alerts users when apps attempt to do so. So now people are starting to become aware of it because of this iOS 14 beta. And there are a bunch of different companies who are saying, well, we didn't realize we were doing that, but we're going to fix it now. And that includes LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Starbucks, Overstock, all of these companies, Reddit being one of them as well. Saying they're now going to release updates that will fix that so that it doesn't happen. But again, it's taking a look at what we're going to get with iOS 14, and that's coming out later this year. Probably September is when it will start rolling out. But for those people who are on the Apple Beta program, which is a paid program you can be a part of, you can get some of that right now. So again, iOS 14 will be letting you know if some app or company is trying to snoop on your clipboard. So continuing on here with trending news today, another event being announced, and this one officially. This is coming from Microsoft as we see the battle between the new Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 heating up, still both scheduled for fall releases. We don't know the prices yet, we don't know release dates, but we are going to see more from Xbox coming up later this month. On July 23rd, they're going to be having their Xbox Series X Games event, and with that, you're going to get to see more from Halo. Halo Infinite being one of the games that's probably touted as most likely coming out when the Xbox Series X does release. We don't know that for sure. That's probably something we'd find out there, but we will get to see some more game footage, and that's what they're touting for this event. So game footage from that. We'll probably see some more things from a lot of exclusives. They've acquired 15 Xbox game studios, so they've been, like PlayStation, like Sony, trying to snap up game developers to beef up their proprietary offerings. So again, that's coming out on July 23rd. We'll have more of a breakdown of what we expect at digitaltrends.com once Lisa Marie Segarra will be able to take a look at that, our gaming editor. But this is what's coming up later this month. So July 23rd, I'd expect more battles back and forth between them, which is exciting for all of us. I mean, it's great to see these two companies kind of go toe-to-toe and see what we get out of that, but that's coming up later this month. And finally, in trending news, this relates to something else we're going to be talking about here a little bit later. As this pandemic continues on, but people do go back to work, go back to school, or figure out how we're going to manage our workplaces. This is all rapidly developing. Cleaning up is going to be a pretty important thing in sanitizing these places, and that's where robots could come in. So this is one solution coming from MIT. This is their Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, or CSAIL. They work on very futuristic technology. This is one where this would be a robot that can go through a floor space and sanitize it using UV rays, one of the ways that it does seem that this would be effective against viruses. However, not really good for people necessarily to be in there while that's going on. So this is something where a robot could come along. You'd see that on like a grocery store, as clearly this is a warehouse where it would be able to sanitize that stuff. And that's just one example. Now they're saying this is going to be a ways before something like this would be released from them. But you can read more about that one at digitaltrends.com. But coming up here in just a few minutes, we are going to have an interview actually about these particular kind of robots, about Akara Robotics and some of the things that they're doing. So just want to give a little bit of a tease there ahead for that. But again, read more about all of this at digitaltrends.com. Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day. Yep, the product of the day today has to do with working out, staying in shape. How about a home gym? And that's what we have here. So this is the ProForm Cardio HIIT Trainer. It's an elliptical, basically, but it looks like it's fancier than an elliptical. So let me tell you what you get on this thing. So it's got 24 different levels of trainer-controlled digital quick resistance, SMR silent magnetic resistance, so it's not going to be super loud and annoying when you're doing it. It's got an inertia-enhanced flywheel for a smooth workout, oversized cushion pedals for a comfortable workout. So a whole bunch of different things that you can do with this, pretty compact as well. It also comes with a 30-day iFit trial membership, giving you access to interactive training sessions. So this is what we're looking at with this. So again, the ProForm Cardio HIIT Trainer, and the deal right now is, well, it's normally $1,999. Right now it's on sale for $1,056, so $942 off, 47% savings. As you can see, you can try out different places where you can go on there. But again, almost $1,000 off the normal price, and that's why it's our product of the day. And the way you take advantage of that is you see that link that's right there on the screen, or maybe it's popping up below me, depending on when or where you're watching this. Click that link, follow through, or just copy and paste, and that way you can take advantage of the deal. And again, that's the make sure I get it right. The ProForm Cardio HIIT Trainer. It's a home elliptical for you. Read more about that right there. And that's our product of the day. All right, let's continue on here with Digital Trends Live. We've got a lot coming up for you today, and thanks to everybody for joining us. Up next, though, we've got Connor. Again, he's the CEO and co-founder of Akara Robotics, and we're going to talk about how robotics can change our workplace, change the way that we sanitize things, but also add in some social elements and aspects to help people out rather than necessarily replace jobs. That's what he's going to talk about and more. That's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler again. Thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button, whatever platform you're on, and join the show here every single day. We get to have some great conversations, and right now we're going to talk about robots and how we could be interacting with them in the near future, if not right now, how they can help sanitize places, how they can maybe even be our friends, socialize with them. We're going to talk about that more. Let's get on with us right now, though. We've got Connor McGinn, who is the CEO and co-founder of Akara Robotics. Connor, thank you very much for being here with us today. Really appreciate it.
Hi, Greg. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, just had a little bit of a sound issue. I think we're going to get that fixed here. I couldn't quite hear Connor, but Connor, I'm going to set this up, though, for you so that everybody else can hear. For you, tell us a little bit about Akara Robotics and what maybe your goal was in founding this company and what you want to accomplish with it in relation to robotics.
Akara Robotics is a spin-out company with a mission to develop technology, especially robotics and AI technology, that can empower frontline workers, especially those working in areas related to public health. The company was originally motivated by the need to develop technology for nursing homes and retirement communities. But over time, we've seen a big need and an opportunity to develop technology to help with the task of disinfection, as to kill germs, especially in light of COVID. So the last number of months, we've been working hard to develop a product offering that can add value in this area.
And it does seem like something that really could help out in a lot of ways, just because of, like you said, frontline workers and the risks that are involved and things maybe we didn't necessarily think about before. So I know you've got two different platforms of your robots. I'll let you kind of guide us here. Do we want to talk about maybe Violet, the disinfecting robot, here first?
Absolutely, sure. So I suppose what you're seeing in the video here is some early videos of a beta prototype that we developed. For the last, well over a year, we've been studying the germicidal effects of UV lighting And I suppose what's happened since COVID is that we've taken a big step from validating the technology in a research context in the university to actually putting it into the real world. And what you see there is, what you see here is the robot being used in a radiology context. We've seen from speaking with a range of consultant radiologists from across the world that it's an area that has been particularly badly hit because of COVID. Because where in the past you'd have a very efficient workflow going through radiology treatment rooms, like a CT scan room like this, for example, could see 5 or 6 people in an hour. Now there's a mandated disinfection time of between 30 minutes and an hour in many cases, which is really increasing the wait lists, and it's detracting from the quality of care that the patients are getting. And we believe that through improved infection control procedures that are informed by the use of robotics and artificial intelligence, we can dramatically cut the time it takes to safely cleaning spaces, and also make it an awful lot safer for those frontline workers that need to be there.
When we talk about the actual technology behind this and how it all works, how is it scanning that room? What kind of, I guess, technology are you utilizing with that? Is it cloud-based tech, or what is it doing as far as being able to know to, I guess really what I'm getting down to is all the nooks and crannies of a room. How do you ensure that it can see all of those, make sure that it gets to them?
So one of the really nice things about hospitals is that they tend to be quite controlled environments. So there's a lot of standard operating procedures are in place. The rooms tend to be relatively clutter-free, and because of that, it is possible to pre-program quite a few of the elements of the disinfection route. But of course, there are complicating factors such as the presence of people in those rooms, and for that, we are using quite advanced technology to do that. We've actually teamed up with Intel, and we've been kind of pioneering some of the AI processor chips that they have developed, namely through the Movidius Myriad chipset. What that's allowing us to do is doing an awful lot of computer vision that would otherwise either not be possible to do on board, or would require a lot of cloud computing, which can introduce latency and other risks. So what we're able to do is quite advanced real-time processing on board, so that the robot is able to act appropriately to its surroundings. And one of the kind of key goals that we're trying to do is actually have this robot be able to operate safely alongside people. And working with Intel, we feel like we're making really good progress to that end.
I think that concept that you just brought up right there, too, working alongside people, is something that when we talk about robotics, sometimes people get a little bit nervous. It's like, okay, robots are replacing people. What's going to happen there? You have another line called Stevie the social robot. Tell us about this and what the goal is with Stevie.
Well, with Stevie, I suppose was a few things coming together. My own personal experience was I had a grandmother who unfortunately lost her independence as she got older. And when she lost her independence, even though the nursing home where she was in seemed to have as many of the features as you would expect from a top nursing home, the fact that they weren't using technology seemed to really compromise the level of care she received. And I believe that technology, robots in particular, can be compelling not only to perform utilitarian tasks, but actually to perform social tasks as well. We found with a technology like Stevie that it really creates a focal point for creating meaningful social interactions, not just between people and the robot, but actually between people and other people. And over the course of a number of years, we developed Stevie with a range of stakeholders, from both Ireland and also our pilot site in the US. We found that the level of adoption was actually probably highest among healthcare staff. This was a technology that empowered them as much as anybody else. So I suppose central to what we're trying to do here is to develop tools to help caregivers and not to replace them. And it's really with that philosophy that we exist as a company, and it's really with that philosophy that we hope to make an improvement.
I love that. I mean, it sounds like obviously looking to help people out, and I think that's one of the key features right there. But yeah, if that can help out people in nursing homes and also alleviate frontline workers for any kind of issues that they have and alleviate the stress of that, that's a great use of robotics. For both of these, for both Stevie and Violet, where are you at in the production process, and how long out, I guess, would it be that you foresee these being utilized in a lot of different workplaces?
So with Violet, we're actually quite close. We're in the process of completing our kind of first, what we consider to be a market-ready version of the platform. And that's something that we'd expect to have. Well, in Europe, it's the quality standards, the CE mark. We expect to have that ready within really the next 2 months. And we have pilots already lined up with the national healthcare system here in Ireland. So that's something that's kind of progressing on a really a week-by-week basis. And we are looking at fields outside of hospitals, nursing homes, and retirement communities, being kind of the second big market we hope to help bring this technology to. But we're also receiving a lot of interest from retail, logistics, healthcare, retail, logistics, hospitality, shipping, airports. There's quite a long list of areas that sort of need to have better infection control procedures. With Stevie, it's probably a little bit longer. We're probably 12 to 18 months away from having something that is market ready. And the reason for that is probably not so much the technology piece. It's more like figuring out how to integrate this in an ethical way, in a way in which garnishes adoption. It takes quite a lot of time engaging with stakeholders, and that's not really a process we want to rush. So we feel that technology like Violet is probably something that requires more urgency in the short term, but certainly looking beyond the next kind of 12 to 18 months, we see Stevie becoming a bigger and bigger part of what we're trying to do.
Well, it's really exciting what you're doing here with robotics, and and with that goal of helping people out too. And I want to let everybody know. So it's Akara.ai as far as the site to go to learn more about what you're doing. Connor, I'd also be remiss if I didn't say that that is an awesome shirt that you're wearing, and I kind of want that. So I'm going to have to look see where I can find that. That's fantastic. But seriously, thank you so much for being here with us today to talk about this, and congratulations on the success you've had. Excited to see where Akara goes from here.
Thanks, Greg. It's been a pleasure.
Connor, right here on Digital Trends Live, again, talking about that. So really fascinating use case for robotics. And as you see, things change quick. During this pandemic, obviously we all know that things are changing on a day-by-day, and he said a week-by-week basis, getting ready to roll out that Violet side of robotics, but definitely exciting stuff to talk about, so appreciate them. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live, we've got Jaron Schneider up next to talk about wireless earbuds, and there are a lot more companies getting into that competition, so we'll have some new ones to talk about. He'll do a little comparison, give an idea of what to look for. That's coming up next. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. We like to keep you up to date with everything that is going on in technology, and that includes all the latest earbuds. There are a lot of companies getting into this game. I mean, we all know AirPods, of course. We all know Sony's got theirs. But what about some of these other companies getting in? How do they stack up? Well, that's why Jaron Schneider is here to talk about that. Jaron, hello. Thank you for being here. I can only imagine what it takes to test all of these and go through all of these different earbuds. Thank you for doing that so that we can learn about this. Where do you want to start here, though?
Well, I can't take all the credit. A lot of this comes down to the team because, as you said, there's a lot. So we have a team of guys who are constantly checking these out. But I did want to talk today specifically about a brand that you might not think about too much when you think of earbuds, and that's Panasonic. These are their latest, and by latest I mean I guess their only noise canceling earbuds. They launched these last month, less than a week ago in the United States, and this is what they look like. They're kind of an unconventional shape. They decided to go with this kind of, we've been calling them Frankenstein neck bolt esque design, but they're shockingly good. Um, Everyone wants the AirPods. I mean, they're more of a social statement than anything else, as well as like they're good at what they do, but they're not the best in terms of like music. So a lot of these other companies are trying to do more with like making them sound really good. Panasonic did do that, but they went another step and actually made their noise canceling really effective. These are the best ones I've personally tested as far as noise canceling goes. So it's really nice to see that kind of technology in something that's not that expensive and trying to compete with Apple.
When you think about the noise canceling side of things, and with earbuds in particular, I imagine there's a lot of technical difficulties to get over with that. You know, I would think that'd be a lot easier with over-the-ear headphones because you can do that. So when it comes to Panasonic, what is it that they're doing differently that makes this so good?
So they're using what is called dual hybrid noise canceling. And so how it typically works is when you look at a pair of earbuds, I'll take these Sony ones out. These are like the ones that we consider to be like the best when it comes to sound quality. Their noise canceling is really good too. There's a microphone on the outside that it uses to hear what's going on and then try and actively cancel it. What the Panasonics and also the Techniques, which is like their high-end brand, these are the Techniques, the Panasonic high-end brand. They have that speaker or the microphone on the outside, but they've got another one on the inside that goes inside your ear, and it can hear what goes in that's not the music and attempt to further correct for that. So it's using both outside and then also can test what's sneaking around to try and cancel that too more actively.
Wow, that's so using two different microphones on there for that one. So again, talking about the noise cancellation side of things, and then with Panasonic getting in the game. So you said they've launched several of them at the same time, and then there's some other companies that are getting into the game too.
So I think what I meant by that was Techniques, and that's Panasonic's sub-brand. And they don't actually like to have Techniques and Panasonic go at the same time. They want it to be just called Techniques. They're not Panasonic Techniques. But if you look at them side by side, I mean, their design is very similar. I mean, looking at them right now, they're basically identical. It's just a matter of they're using nicer materials in the Techniques for a higher price. They are better. I will say that the Techniques are definitely better, but if you're looking for like, not crazy expensive earbuds and you want them to have really good noise canceling, and they also have really good audio too. They sound really good with like vocals. If you're like vocal focused tracks, you'll like these. The Panasonics, honestly, I'm kind of leaning more towards these, even though they're a much cheaper material. I mean, even the lid on this case feels really flimsy. If you can get past the cheaper materials just so that you can lower your price by a good chunk, the actual performance of these Panasonics is really good. I'm really happy to be able to recommend a new company with their first iteration of earbuds ever that are noise canceling like this in such a way that I'm like, yes, you can get these. These are a solid choice. They're going to last a while. I think they're a really good option.
When you mentioned price, so you said that you can get them for a little bit less than that. What are we talking about in price range, and how does that compare to AirPods or Sony's that you were just showing there?
So the Techniques are really expensive. They're $250, which is more than AirPods Pro. I think the AirPods Pro are like $240 right now, and then the Sony WF 1000 XM3, license plate style name. These are like sometimes can be as low as $170. We've seen them that low. So the Sonys, which we consider to have like the best actual sound, are relatively cheap. So when you look at the Techniques being $250, that's a lot. That's a huge ask. Fortunately, the Panasonic ones, which have a slightly smaller driver, so the audio is not going to be as powerful as with the Techniques, you're looking at about $200. So it's more in line with what folks are looking to spend on earbuds. I think the $250 is really high. I really expect Techniques to bring their price down in a few months once the shine has worn off the newness of these. But yeah, right now I'm all in on the Panasonics as far as like a good value if you're looking for new earbuds from a company that's not named Apple.
Nice. And I know we've got all these comparisons too up at Digital Trends for people who want to go in there and figure out what kind of what you want. I mean, there's so many different factors that go into it too. Like you said, if you want vocals or if you want music or if you want the noise cancellation, there's a lot to decide when it comes down to that. And that's why we've got all that there. Well, Jared, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. One last note. I feel like right now with earbuds, it's not a matter of like this one's the only good one. It's a matter of what is important to you. There's an earbud out there that actually fits your exact mold. So it's like we're spoiled for choice, and I'm really happy about that as a consumer.
That's always a great thing. Yeah, more competition, the better for us. Well, Jared, thank you so much. Everybody go check out the reviews right there at Digital Trends. And Jared, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Greg.
So there we go. Like we said, so many different choices in there, and he made a really good point. There's something for everybody depending on what you want, and that's why we have all those reviews. I go there when I'm looking to buy something. I check out what all of our editors say, and like you said, we've got a whole team that goes through that because it's a lot to handle, but it's all there to make it easy for you. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live, we're going to play something here from Mr. Riley Wynn. I bet coming up next, and that's going to be right after this, and then after that, we've got Drew Prindle for Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet. So a lot coming up here on the show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. So hit subscribe, share the show, join in the comments. We're back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
The iPhone has come a long way since Steve Jobs first introduced the device that was an iPod, a phone, and a breakthrough internet communicator. And while the iPhone has changed our lives for the better, it's also had a number of fails over the years. I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and here are the 5 worst iPhone fails of all time. Remember when Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute drove a rental car into a lake?
No, it's up there! There's no road here! Remain calm. I have trained for this.
That episode of The Office was released several years before Apple Maps even came into existence. But chances are, it would have happened again to Dunder Mifflin's finest if they had been using Apple Maps. Apple ditched Google Maps and launched their own Maps app in 2012. And oh boy, it was horrible. The much ballyhooed 3D feature only worked in a few major cities, addresses and businesses were completely missing, and directions often took you to the middle of nowhere. We know starting something like a completely new map service and replacing Google Maps is not the easiest thing to do, but we did expect more from the tech giant. Fail number 4 wasn't necessarily the iPhone's fault, more like a software engineer's. Remember when someone left an iPhone 4 prototype at a bar? Back in 2010, a diner at a beer garden 20 miles away from Apple's Cupertino campus, they picked up a lost iPhone. At first, it looked like the 3GS model, but closer inspection revealed a new front-facing camera and an all-glass design. Yep, that was the iPhone 4 all right. Software engineer Gray Powell left the phone after having a few beverages at the bar. Oops, my bad. After deactivating it remotely the next day, Apple requested its return. But that was a bit too late. Gizmodo had already purchased the phone and published detailed photos of the unreleased iPhone 4. We've all seen leaks and reliable reports of what Apple is planning for its upcoming devices, but leaving the actual phone in a bar? Yikes. Fail number 3, the headphone jack's demise. In 2016, the iPhone 7 launched with a new touch-sensitive home button, and the Plus model received the first double-lens setup with portrait mode photography. But the big news was the death of the headphone jack. Audiophiles around the globe were big time mad. This forced users to either get Bluetooth headphones or add that annoying dongle to their gear bags. Sure, wireless headphones are cleaner looking, but high quality audio is still dependent on that wired output. And audiophiles everywhere weren't just mad, they were disappointed. Fail number 2, Bendgate. Remember that? In 2014, the iPhone 6 added larger 4.7 and 5.5 inch sizes, and it got thinner and lighter. It was like magic.
I love magic.
Unfortunately, they were so slim and so light that if you didn't have a solid case on your phone, you could bend it. The internet immediately flooded with complaints that stuffing your phone in your pocket could lead to the upper half bending. Apple claimed that only a few phones were bent and that it did replace the affected devices. But still, unless you're the Incredible Hulk, you shouldn't be able to bend your phone by just stuffing it in your pocket. And finally, the worst of the worst, Throttlegate. In 2017, the iPhone 6 and 6S models were 3 years and 2 years old respectively. Users started to notice that after updating to iOS 10.11, their phones would become slow and shut down even if their battery was at 30%. Apple responded saying that certain phones manufactured in 2015 had a defect and would replace the batteries, but that didn't solve the problem. People went far enough to accuse Apple of planned obsolescence, intentionally crippling older iPhones to force users to upgrade. After a class action lawsuit, Apple agreed to dole out $500 million to users who purchased an iPhone 6 or 7. Needless to say, that was not a good look. Okay, bonus fail time. Remember when we all had U2's Song of Innocence album on our phones, whether we wanted to or not? Well, back in 2014, to celebrate Apple's partnership with U2, the album Songs of Innocence was added to every Apple user's music app. If you're a U2 fan, I guess that's cool for you. But for those not a fan of Bono's group, you were left wondering, why is this music on my phone and how can I remove it? Fortunately, you could go into your iTunes account and remove the album. And Apple never tried that again. But still, please don't force music on us. Android fans are probably sharing this video saying, "I told you so." And yes, a lot of us are still using iPhones, but that doesn't mean we couldn't bring up the hiccups along the way. What do you think has been the biggest iPhone fail so far? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Riley Wynn with Digital Trends, and thanks for watching.
Yes, indeed. It is time for awesome tech you can't buy yet here on Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and our own Drew Prindle scours the internet to find some of the best, strangest, sometimes greatest, sometimes weirdest, different crowdfunding campaigns that are out there and presents them for us all to look at. That is why Drew is here right now. Drew, hello, and which one do you want to start off with here today?
I mean, I guess following on with what you just said, which sometimes is we have very weird things on the show, I think we have to start with Eau de Space, which is a fragrance that is designed to mimic the smell of space, apparently. So, as some of you might know, apparently space actually does have a distinct smell to it. And it, like a few decades ago, back when like the space race was going on, NASA actually kind of like codified it more or less and recreated it and wanted to use that smell to help train astronauts, to basically help them like acclimate to just like what it was like to be in space, part of which was smells. So the thing is, they developed this. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So basically, they developed this fragrance, but NASA just had it. It's kind of just been like sitting in a shelf or whatever, and it hasn't been available to the public. So this company is basically raising money. They've done, freedom of information requests. They've gotten all of the, they've basically unlocked the fragrance, gotten it from NASA's archives or whatever, and are now selling it as a perfume.
Which Adrian Mortar and Jess Serbot brought this up a couple of weeks ago on TBD when I first became aware of this, because I think it's honestly, I would kickstart this. I think I said it at the time that I was going to pay into this. I think I'm still going to do it because at $29, It's not that bad. It is a weird combination of smells, though. Like burned steak, gunpowder, and raspberries. That just sounds like somebody's having some kind of issue with their spacesuit. Like, it's a lack of oxygen that caused this. I don't know. But, I think I would go ahead and buy this. Like, how do you feel about it?
I feel like it's I mean, who's gonna smell that and be like, oh yeah, I know which. Are you wearing space right now? Like, no, it's a strange thing. Like, I feel like the point of like a cologne or a perfume is to actually smell good, whereas this isn't really so much to smell good as it is to smell like accurate, like something like some other smell, which is a strange thing. I don't know if you're gonna catch me smelling like space anytime soon.
That's true. It could be kind of obnoxious if somebody's like, actually, it's the smell of space. They scientifically figured this out. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. I still am probably going to give them $29. But going from there, what is the next one you want to bring up?
Let's talk about the OBSBot Tiny. So this thing is something that I think we could all get some use out of now that everything is happening remotely and we're all working from home and relying very, very heavily on webcams. This thing is basically... It's a miniaturized version of an existing product, one that I actually got to see at CES a couple years ago, actually. It's an AI-powered camera that has two brushless gimbals on it so it can pivot and track you, and it uses that AI software to tell, when you're moving, and it keeps you directly in the center of the frame, regardless of where you go. So they've basically taken that camera and that technology and shrunken it down and made that same idea, but it's something that you can clip onto the top of your monitor. So then if you like get up and move around, the camera will follow you. So I think it's interesting, not because it's particularly practical for like work, because obviously, I mean, we're video conferencing right now. I'm not moving around a lot. I don't think most people move around a lot when they're on like work calls, but I think this would be super useful for those like social distance or whatever, just like a virtual happy hours or whatever with friends and family, where you might not be sitting still. You're up, moving around, you're in the kitchen, you're dancing around the living room, whatever. I feel like this would be super helpful for those situations.
Yeah, and that price isn't bad on that. I mean, that's a pretty good deal if they can actually deliver on this thing. So again, this is the OBSBot AI-powered PTZ camera that follows you around. I could see a lot of use out of that. That's another one I'd consider kickstarting this too. So that is let's see, started off with a $10,000 goal, and they're now at $181,000 as of right this moment. So it's going up. So yeah, I think everybody kind of wants that right now. So that's the OBSBot Tiny webcam, AI-powered webcam. And going from there, we've got a final one here as well. Go ahead and tell us what this is.
Yeah, so the final one we got here is the New Grip 4-in-1 tripod. This thing it's just super clever. So really what it is a multifunction tripod. So you can fold it up and use it as just a grip. It extends so you can use it like a selfie stick. It stands up like a normal tripod. But then the cool thing about it is it has these buoyant tips on it. So it makes it float, which is good for not only making sure that your action camera, your phone, or whatever you're filming with doesn't just like sink into the water, but you can actually extend it out and it suspends itself in the water upside down. So it's kind of like a tripod stabilizer, like camera holder, just for water, which is a super, super clever idea. And the fact that like, I feel like most people aren't going to be using the water tripod version but the fact that it has like 4 different modes and that's just one of them is kind of just like, I don't know, it's icing on the cake. Really clever idea.
Yeah, well, and you're not gonna like lose it if you drop it in the water somewhere.
Exactly.
So that's actually really cool. That's a cool feature that it's got on there. And looking here at the price on that one, so yeah, not too bad. $57 because it says right there. The New Grip floating action cam tripod. Also, I think this is 3 in a row that I like all 3 of these that we've got here, where I would actually pay money for each one of these things. So that's cool. So New Grip 4-in-1, world's first floating tripod. Same thing. They're like 4 times over their goal right now, but you can still check that out. And we've got all these at digitaltrends.com for awesome tech you can't buy yet. And Drew, as always, thank you for taking the time to find all of these. We'll see if next, when we're in contact, if I smell like raspberries and steak, then you know that I did back this up.
Awesome. I eagerly await that day.
or it's just what I have for lunch. I don't know. But all right, Drew Prindle, right there. Awesome tech. You can't buy yet. Again, check all that out at digitaltrends.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. We are here every single weekday. I know I emphasize that a lot, but I want to remind you, we're here. We're part of your day. So 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, broadcasting live. And let's take a look at what we've got coming up on the show tomorrow, because every show is action-packed. A lot of stuff happening on every one of these. Let's take a look. We've got tomorrow, well, we've got Andy Boxall on. Talk about what's going on in mobile technology. We've also got Winnie Sun back from Sun Group Wealth Partners. She is always here every other week to talk about guidance on what is going on in the world of finances, and she seriously helps people out. So that's going to be a great segment. And we've got Who's Got Game? We've got Dan Mace, YouTube content creator, for our weekly full screen partnership segment, and that is coming up tomorrow as well. So all that's just part of what you're going to get on tomorrow's episode. We've got some more great guests coming up this week too, but always we'll keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of technology. Thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Dibler. I'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.